Hey guys, what's up? So this is a science and tech series. We continue with our class 6 NCERT and this is the part 2.2. There is a slight change in the template. I think you'll like white on black much better than the last one. Do let me know. This will be dealing with 9 to 12 chapter, and if you have any doubt or any query, obviously you can post it here on the Facebook or the video link below the YouTube. So obviously you have to focus on the keywords and the summaries. This is the key why I am making these videos. The only keywords and summary can make your effort reduced by 80 to 90%. If you just focus on these words, you will have to spend very little energy and you will get the maximum outcome. Anyway, moving forward, this is the chapter classification of the book of all the 16 chapters of class 6 NCERT. We will be dealing with the four, that is living organisms, motion and measurement of distance, light shadow reflection, and electricity and circuits. So these are the chapter 9 to chapter 12. In chapter 9, we deal with the living organisms and their surroundings. So surroundings means habitat. So organisms basically they live in a habitat. Say I have already covered this in environment and ecology section. So you can watch those videos and they are much better than this. It is a very concise version. But anyway, do watch them all, this also and that also, and you will be able to link better. And they have to adapt to it. Organisms have to adapt to their particular environment. Example can be saline environment. So they are called as halophytes. Those plants which live in saline environment. Desert are called as zero. Okay, now forest are called as, like, they are usually not given a separate name. So adaptation, now what is adaptation? So they are the specific features or practices or habits of organisms which improves or increases the chance or the probability of survival of organisms in its surrounding. Is that absolutely understood? This is the perfect definition of adaptation. Specific features or habits or practices which can be either innate or acquired. Usually in animals it's innate only, they rarely acquire anything, but in human beings we have to acquire a lot. So which improves the probability or chance of survival of an organism in its surroundings is called as adaptation. It may take 100 years to thousands of years, and adaptation is a very long term process. It do not come very early. Now example in desert, so how are the most common organism when it comes to desert is camels, because they are extremely adapted to that. They have extremely long legs and it keep away from sand heat, since sand becomes very hot. So if your body, most of your body is above the sand, so you'll not feel that much pinch. And it does not sweat at all. Like mammals usually sweat, but camels do not sweat at all. It has highly concentrated urine. It's almost like semi-solid urine, and it has absolutely dry dung. Those of you who are from Rajasthan must have seen it. And snakes etc are also adapted to it, and they have deep burrows. And one more point, like it do not secrete urea like us, it goes way beyond that. So the amount of water that is required in excretion becomes less and less. Now cactus is there. It is a plant which is adapted to desert like conditions, because in this the leaves are modified into spines like structure. Is that understood? Which reduces the transpiration losses. It is extremely critical, since the leaves are modified either in spines. In some cases leaves are totally absent, or in some cases leaves are redundant. In case of cactus they are modified into spine. Spine होगा तो स्टोमेटा कम होगा, स्टोमेटा नहीं होगा तो transpiration losses will also be reduced. What is transpiration? I have explained in the previous video, please watch that. Basically it is a necessary evil which helps in the pumping of water from the ground to the leaves, and through the stomatal pores in the leaves water evaporates to the outside world. This is process called as transpiration. It is a necessary evil because 97% of the water is lost through transpiration from the plants, but all the water that is absorbed is because of the transpiration pull of the leaves. Now the cactus also has thick waxy covering over its leaves, and the stem is fleshy green. So this stem, since it's thick waxy covering, so what happens is evaporation losses are almost zero. Now since it's green, it means it has chlorophyll. It means it will produce food. That's how the plant will survive. So photosynthesis will occur in cactus, and it has deep penetrating roots, meters and meters deep into the ground, and it can go very deep in search of water. Now in ocean, as I have told you already, that streamlining is the feature which is very common. So organisms are very streamlined so that they have zero resistance or very less resistance. Then they have gills. which filter out the oxygen in the water, and they help in the breathing purposes. Now they also have oily or slippery fins, that is, there is a coverage of oil so that they do not decay underwater. Just put your hand in the water for 5 minutes, you will know that your skin has become softened, and it's very easy to remove the top layer. So we need to have oil covering to avoid that. Now they have flat fins and tails, so again minimum resistance. And in sea they obviously use dissolved oxygen etc through gills. Now there are certain organisms like squids and octopus, you must have seen their shape, they are not at all streamlined, but whenever they move they make themselves streamline. This is an important point, so that at the time of movement is all what matters. Now dolphins and whales, obviously you know they are not fishes, they are not fishes, please please please, they are highly evolved intelligent creatures because they are mammals. So as you increase the evolution process, so intelligence also increase. So obviously a mammal will be much more intelligent than a fish or an amphibian. Now they do not have any gills because they are mammals obviously, so they'll have something lungs, and they will also have placenta, they will also produce their babies, not laying eggs or no external fertilization, stuff like that. They have nostrils or blowholes on the upper part of their head, through which whenever they go near to surface they breathe from time to time. That is why you have seen those huge awesome imageries when dolphins and whales come out, and they come out for breathing, otherwise they will die. Now lakes. In lakes the plants are adapted in such a manner that roots which are present, they just hold it in one particular place. Okay, roots is not there to absorb water because water is everywhere. Is that understood? It is just to hold it one place, and stems are very long and hollow so that it grows till the surface, and the flowers usually float on the surface. Example, lotus, water lily, water hyacinth, something like that. Now leaves and flowers of those plants will float on the surface of water. However, we also have something called as totally submerged plants also, which are narrow and thin, and they have ribbon like leaves, and they have highly divided leaves, either one of these. So ऐसी leaves only, they have something like this, so water can pass easily through them. Is that understood? So they will not be uprooted along with the flow of water. If you are too rigid and you are not willing to bend, you will be uprooted in strong currents. In case of frogs, they have strong legs so they can jump out of water and into the water, and they have webbed feet so which helps in them in swimming. Now seed sprouting, again a one-off term, it leads to germination, this was mentioned. Anyway, what is habitat? Now habitat is the surroundings or the environment or the locality or the region or the niche in which an organism live. It can be terrestrial मतलब land, aquatic मतलब water, it can be biotic, it has two factor, biotic मतलब living. Living क्या होता है? Plants, animals, fungus, these are the living animals. And abiotic component include air, light, temperature, soil. I have dealt with in extreme details in environment and ecology plus high yield series, so you can watch over there. Now high mountains have cold and winds and snowfall etc. These conditions prevail in the high mountains. So the tree will be cone shaped and they have needle like leaves, so that whenever snowfall occurs it do not break the trees. अगर ऊपर पड़ा रहेगा then the tree will break. Here also in Missouri the roofs are like this, so whenever snowfall occurs the snow automatically falls down from these roofs, otherwise the house will break. They also have sloping branches so that rainwater and snow will slide rather than staying on them. अगर ज़्यादा देर तक टिक गया then the plant will break off because of the weight. Animals also have extremely thick skin. They have fur with long hairs, example yak or snow leopard or puma. So these are the organisms which dwells in the high mountains. They have strong hooves, example in mountain goats, for climbing on rocks. Otherwise their feet will get cut. Now in grasslands there are predators and prey, so they have different adaptation. For example, in predators like lion, they are light brown color. So prey are also more or less light brown color, so they can hide easily. So camouflage is the term which means hiding with the environment. Most characteristic example is chameleon because they change their color to hide with the environment. So this is called as camouflage. I'll try to improve my handwriting a bit. So this is the spelling of chameleon. Now withdrawing of claws in their toes so that dabe पाँव जा सके, so that prey do not know that they are coming. They can walk without making much noise. Now ice is placed in front. Even in human beings or other predators, you will see that eyes are always placed in front, so they can concentrate, they can focus on the prey's location. They have a perfect estimate of prey's location. However, in prey like deer, they are very very fast and they are very very light, because in grassland there are very very few trees. Is that understood? Few trees and huge grasses, so you have to run for long to hide somewhere. They have strong teeth for chewing on stems of grasses and other trees, and their eyes are placed on side. This give them broad vision, much wider range of vision. Range increases. Is that understood? So range of vision is more, and they also have long ears to hear the movement from far off. Is that understood? Now, when you will even open your 11th class NCERT, the first thing which you'll find is that what do you mean by living things? So there is certain criteria which is laid down. If in case you are living things, you have to fulfill all of them, not two or three of them. Two or three of them can be fulfilled by non-living things also. So what do you mean by criteria of being alive? So first thing is you need a food or a source of energy. So this is a must. Otherwise you cannot survive. You need to have some source of energy. For some, like archaebacteria, it may be sunlight. For sulfur bacteria, it may be sulfur. For euglena, it may be both autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. For most of the organism, it is heterotrophic. For plants, it is autotrophic. So you need to have some source of energy at least. Then you need to grow. You need to show some changes in your, like you need to be young one. Then young one will grow into adult. Then adult will grow into senescence, and senescence finally you will die. So this is a typical pattern which is followed by living beings. So this is the second criteria. So they may ask you this criteria question in mains exam sometime. Then third criteria is the respiration, not breathing. Please do not confuse respiration with breathing. So it is basically of two types. One is called as physiological respiration. It means intaking of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. While cellular respiration is the actual respiration, which means combining this oxygen with glucose to give out carbon dioxide plus water plus 38 molecules of ATP. So that ATP means adenosine ट्राइफॉस्फेट. तो ये एमसीक्यू में पूछते हैं व्हाट इज द एनर्जी करेंसी ऑफ सेल. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज एडिनोसाइन ट्राइफॉस्फेट. दिस इज द स्पेलिंग ऑफ phosphate. ATP is the energy currency of the cell. They also ask what is the powerhouse of the cell. Then the answer is mitochondria, where this cellular respiration takes place. Is that understood? The final electron transfer chain happens in the mitochondria. So these are big words. I hope you can remember them. So respiration is not breathing. Please do not confuse these two terms. Breathing is just intake of air and outtake of air. That is simple. Physiological respiration means intake of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide, and other metabolites are also there. Cellular respiration means oxidizing of glucose into carbon dioxide plus water plus 38 ATP molecule per glucose to give you energy. That is respiration. So in earthworm, this breathing takes place through skin. In case of fish, it takes through gills because there is dissolved oxygen in water. In case of plants, stomata will help in exchange of gases. It is done usually night time. अभी के लिए इतना समझ लो. But there are certain plants which have follow what is called as CAM pathway, in which this respiration takes place in daytime while photosynthesis takes place in the night time. This also happens. There are various exceptions in biology. If you read in detail, you will find out. Now, oxygen consumed during respiration is much less than oxygen released during photosynthesis. That is why plants are essential, because their net surplus is oxygen is positive. They take oxygen for respiration but they release much more oxygen during photosynthesis. इसीलिए पेड़ लगाओ and देश बचाओ and earth बचाओ. Now, what is the response to the environmental change? What do you mean by this? Whenever some stimulus is given, let's say आपके ऊपर कुछ गरम गरम डाल दिया, then automatically your reaction will be a cry and removal of that hand or leg from that scene. This is called as reflex. However, if I am telling you this lecture right now, so you are processing in your head. Well, most of you anyway, some of you might be sleeping. But anyway, this is called as conscious response. You are consciously trying to process in your brain. So animals also have this, like mimosa plant is there, which is also called as touch me not. So the moment you touch it, entire plant, it goes into the flowers, they become small and they shrunk. Similarly, sunflower will respond to the sunlight and it might revolve somewhat around it, not exactly जैसे कि मूवीज में दिखाते हैं वैसा नहीं होता, but it somewhat responds to the sunlight. Now animals run away on the flashing light. रोड पे आप जा रहे होते हो, सामने कोई एनिमल आ जाता है तो usually they run away when they see a car coming. Now cockroach also hide if the light is flashed. Kitchen में जाके कुछ छोड़ के आना सामान, so you'll see cockroach gathered around it. As soon as you turn on the light, they'll just rush away. So that is response to the environmental change, or what is called as stimulus. Now fifth is the excretion. What do you mean by excretion is removal of waste products. Is that understood? Which are present either in the food and otherwise generated in metabolic reactions. बहुत सारी cycle होती है, ammonia cycle होती है that finally produces urea in human beings. Now how does excretion occurs? Through sweat, through feces, through urine, through skin secretions, even through respiration. Carbon dioxide is excreted out because it is a byproduct generated in respiration, so it needs to be excreted out. Now plants also excrete. They can excrete in two manner. Either they can store in some secluded location so it do not harm the plant in total, or it can secrete out in form of resins, latex, gum. जो भी बाहर होता है, they are all excretions of the plants. What is the sixth criteria is reproduction. So they need to be able to procreate because it's a biological process which leads to the development of new individual organism offspring which is produced from the parents. This is the definition of reproduction. It can be done through eggs, it can be done through seeds, it can be done through cuttings, it can be done through live births. Which give live births are called as viviparous. Those which give through egg are called as oviparous. So these are all biological terms which we'll deal in detail later. Just focus on the basics for now. And the seventh point is the movement. This is also very very critical. अब कुछ लोग बोलेंगे प्लांट तो मूव करते ही नहीं है. So for them, plant move over the ground and under the ground with the help of roots and with the help of shoots and branches and leaves. And there is also intra-organismic transfer of water, nutrients, food, minerals, etc. in plants. From xylem, they transfer what is called as water and nutrients through phloem, that is food. Is that understood? सो ऑर्गेनिजम्स ऑल्सो मूव फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर. सो अब कुछ क्राइटेरिया हो सकते हैं, जैसे कार है, कार ऑल्सो एक्सक्रीट्स आउट डर्ट थ्रू इट्स, and it also makes a move, but it do not reproduce, it do not show stimulus unless you ask it to do it, etc, etc. So although non-living things can also show one or two feature of being alive, but most of them will not comply with all of them. Similarly, there are many things which are alive but they may not show all these features at all time. So there are certain exceptions to this as well. Example are these which include no clear classification कि उनको कहाँ रखना है. The classification is not clear. So example, virus is there. Okay, so these are the organisms that live at the edge of the life. They are not alive, they are not dead also. They are not alive because they are not active unless they found a host. They are not dead also because when found a host they will kill the host very easily. Some of them viruses at least. They are the most abundant life forms on planet Earth. In one sense, there are millions of them everywhere, everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Similarly, there is Euglena. So it is alive, 100% sure it's alive, but its classification is not clear, whether it's plant alive or animal alive. So it shows mixed features. It is both autotrophic, that it can create its own food by a very, very residual chlorophyll, and it can also eat like animals. So it is a connecting link between plants and animals. अगर कोई क्वेश्चन पूछे what is the connecting link between plants and animals, answer is Euglena. Now something is called as archaea. They are the first life form to appear on planet Earth. So basically all of us are descendant of archaea. So we should be worshipping archaea because they are actually our ancestors. They arose on Earth around 3.5 to 4 billion years ago. तो ज़्यादा ही लंबा टाइम हो गया. They are neither bacteria, they are not eukaryotes, ये अलग ही हैं. They are called as extremophiles. They do not require oxygen at all. They require absolutely nothing. And they can live everywhere. आप इनको 100 डिग्री बॉइलिंग वाटर में फेंक दो, they can survive. आप इनको -20 में फेंक दो, they can survive. They can go to the top of the atmosphere, and obviously they can survive in normal habitats as well. So they are found absolutely everywhere, including us, like in human navel. They are found in our colon, and they are called as methanogens. They generate methane. Now the fourth classification is of sulfur bacteria. See, usually food is taken in the form of oxygen, carbon dioxide, but this just takes sunlight and it lives on sulfur substances and it oxidizes the sulfur, and if you just expose them to oxygen, it will kill them instantly. Is that understood? So they are obligate anaerobes. Obligate का मतलब होता है they can only live as anaerobes. An means without oxygen. There are something called as facultative anaerobes, which are usually anaerobic, but they can live as aerobes as well. Similarly, your tetanus bacteria, it is also an obligate anaerobe. It is called as Clostridium tetani. So this is also an something called as obligate anaerobe. If you expose them to oxygen, they will die. They can only live in non-oxygen environment. Do you know that Earth was formed around 4.5 billion years ago, and for more than 50% of Earth's lifetime, is that understood? More than 50% of Earth's lifetime, there was no oxygen. Oxygen was not there. Is that understood? Many of you might feel it like a shock ki kya bol raha hai Roman, but this is actually true. So actually we are the invaders. So they were the real beings who were living there, and we are the invaders. Just think about it sometime. So in summary, like I always say, make summaries, make flow charts, make diagrams. So living beings need food, they respire, they respond to stimuli, they reproduce, they show movement, they grow, and they die. One line, khatam answer. So like always, just be brilliant with the basics, rest all will follow. And this is the Twitter. Please spread the word and part of this education revolution if you want to be. This is the Twitter handle. You can tweet to me at my Twitter handle at Roman Saini. Thank you for watching the video. Have an awesome day.